Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, podcasts, Facebook Live, YouTube, and talklawradio.com. Here talking with my friend Shannon Salmon Haas, immigration attorney and criminal defense attorney and family law attorney. If you have any of those issues, you can find her on the internet. She practices with her husband, which is another thing I wanted to talk about because my wife worked with me for one day and she said, "Don't tell me what to do." And that was the end of it. And so that's why she became a nurse.
Wow. There's a lot there. That's a whole show right there. I would watch that.
Yeah. So I want to get him in here so that we can talk about these
Me
things. But this is the fourth segment. So we're going to talk about legacy.
And now it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Did you know that the Francis Scott Key Bridge is named after somebody named Francis Scott Key? So I looked this up, and he's has this legacy, and he's also, somebody that a lot of people liked. He was a novelist and essayist, and one of the poems that he wrote, it was the basis for the Star-Spangled Banner. So that's why the bridge was named after him, because there was a battle in Baltimore, and that's part of the history here. He was inspired to write the poem after witnessing the bombardment of Fort McHenry during the Battle of Baltimore in September 1814. Yeah, you didn't know you were going to learn history today, right? So that's about the bridge. And something else that reminds me of the history is the ship that hit the bridge is from another country. And so the city of Baltimore is going to sue the owner of the ship and the manager of it and the people that were running the ship. Well, did you know that falls under maritime law? Did you ever take that class at St. Mary's, maritime law?
No, I
didn't either. Do you know any lawyers that practice maritime law?
I can't say that I do.
Well, in San Antonio, maybe it's not very common. Well, there's maritime law that will allow a ship owner to limit their liability to the value of the ship and the cargo. And this goes all the way back to another famous ship that sunk, the Titanic.
Oh, wow.
All of the stuff on the Titanic and all of those people that died did not get the relief that, we would expect
today
because of this maritime law. And it's still the law of the land that these ship owners can limit their liabilities. So I don't know if the city of Baltimore is going to get the relief that they need. Hopefully the ship had insurance and the business had insurance and all of that so that they can make these people whole who lost their lives. And that's the whole reason that you have wrongful death lawsuits is to somehow make things whole. And if I lost a member of my family, I would say that there's no amount of money that would make me whole. But the law has decided that lives do have value in monetary amounts. And usually it's calculated by lost wages.
Mm-hmm.
So if these were young people, then they lose wages over a greater number of years than if you're an older person. But I just thought that that was interesting, tying all of those things together.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I had never thought of that. But I did, when I saw the news story, I was horrified. But then the lawyer in me also thought, wow, there's going to be a lot of litigation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe, and then I started to think maybe the person that was piloting that ship was to blame. And so I don't think they know that yet. There's an investigation being conducted by the FBI for that as well. So the owner of the ship was from Singapore. The owner is Grace Ocean Pte. Limited. The manager is Synergy Marine Group, and the person that chartered the boat is really just a corporation. Maersk, don't know what that means, but those three entities, the owner, the manager, and the charterer, are going to have to appear in court someday to explain themselves. So let's get back to immigration. There's some other things, and if you're not familiar with it, just say so, and I'll ask you a different question. When I was looking at temporary protected status, I ran across something called special student relief. Have you heard of that?
I confess that I have not, and
Okay.
I meant to look. I saw that, and I meant to look at it, and I've never used that program. If it is a program, I know about Special Immigrant Juvenile. That's a great program. The F1 is what students can get. So, if you know anything about it, educate me, because I haven't heard of that.
No, I was just going to ask you, but now I'm interested in that.
Well, Special Immigrant Juvenile is really, gosh, I wish I had a better adjective, great.
How does it work?
If there are unaccompanied minors and they have been abandoned by one or both parents and they're from another country, as long as they're under pretty much 18, I mean, there's a little wiggle room. Technically with the government it's 21, but here in town we really can't get the order that we need from the court after the age of 18, because they have to have an order from a district court or a state level court saying that they have been abandoned by one or more of their parents.
Oh,
And so
okay.
if they have that, they can pretty much get legal status here. It's a process, it's a lot of paperwork, everything has to check out and be verified, but it's a great way for children if they, so if you hear of a story of someone at the border and they're under 18
Mhm.
and they only have one parent with them, they could very likely qualify for SIJ, Special Immigrant Juvenile. And then I get a lot of calls at my office for the F1 visa, which is people who want to study here, but they're from another country. But I don't take any money from them, and I always refer them to the college, because the college here in town, at least, they always will have a legal specialist that can help them get the F1.
Oh,
They
okay.
don't even have to pay for a private attorney, has been my experience.
Mhm.
And they're so well versed in that particular, student visa, the F1, they will just walk the student through it, and as long as the student is actively enrolled, then they will have a legal status to stay here. The problem with that is you have to pay that out of jurisdiction, like a non-resident tuition. So it's usually people with some means,
Yeah.
that will be able to
And they
use
apply
that.
from their home country
They
before
can.
they get here.
Right. And it's very, very important that they stay in status the whole time. So if for some reason the F1 runs out, they have to leave immediately,
Mhm.
because then they won't qualify again for another visa, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Most people on the visas have to really guard their status and be sure to not fall out of status.
That's a good point. I read a court case about a bad immigration attorney one time. He had promised to fix the status of this person and then never did the work. And so the immigrant got deported because of that. And I think the case was about ethics, or, of that attorney not doing the work.
Right. I'm sure there's a ton of stories like that.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of stories, or they tell me that they gave a lot of money to somebody else before they got to me, and then they could not ever get a hold of that person again. I hear that too often for me to just dismiss it. I think that must be...
Well, you should help them complain to the bar.
They often will tell me that they were sucked in because the person said that they used to work for ICE, or they used to work for, USCIS.
Oh, these aren't even lawyers.
Often it'll be someone that just kind of claims to have some insider track.
Okay, well, that's unauthorized practice of law.
And can I share a little tidbit with you? Often the immigrants are coming from countries that work that way, that it's someone and you can pay something, and, that's the way their country maybe has traditionally worked.
Yeah.
And here in the U.S., it does not. I mean, my experience has always been the law applies to, we're watching Trump be prosecuted. The law seems to apply to everybody, but they come from countries where you just give a little, the right person, maybe it works a little differently.
Right,
so
corruption. Right,
so they think that, but no, you should go to a reputable attorney.
Right, good point. Something else I wanted to talk about is the proposed repeal of temporary protected status. Have you heard about that?
It's historically, that's something that comes up periodically. It usually blows over, has been the pattern. I don't know why they kind of just bring it up and then they don't do it.
Or changing the asylum process so that there's not so many people claiming it.
You're making me remember that I wanted to talk to you about something. I'm swerving a little bit off topic, but there's a fascinating Supreme Court case coming up this Tuesday, and I'm riveted. I'm on the edge of my seat. It's Munoz. It's called Munoz. And there's this thing in the immigration law where me as an attorney, even with all I know, what I've learned here, if you get stuck over there at the consulate, there's something called consulate processing. So that is a separate country. And there's very little I can do. They have almost complete 100% discretion. So if I was, watch out for that case. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Do you ever listen to the oral arguments?
I have. Do you do that too?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, we have to end the show, but thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
So much fun.
I had fun. Thank you.
Yeah, tell Aaron to come and join us.
he missed out.
Yeah. Okay, I'm Todd Marquardt. I'll talk to you later.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the Ten Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.